Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. Today we are talking about one of the most surprising and overlooked modern coins in American history, the 1968 D. Lincoln penny. Most people have handled this coin without ever imagining it could be valuable. In fact, the overwhelming majority of these pennies are worth exactly 1 cent. But a very small group of rare errors, high-grade examples, and unusual varieties have turned this date into a hidden treasure for collectors. Some of the rarest rumored finds, especially in near-perfect condition or struck in error on the wrong metal, have been talked about with hypothetical values reaching up to $1.9 million. Today, we explore the coin, the history, the value, and why this little brown penny is so interesting. Section on Nato. Understand the 1968 D penny. We need to step back into the late 1960s. The United States had recently transitioned from silver coins to clad coins, and the entire minting system was under pressure. Demand for coins was high, and the Denver Mint was working at full speed. In 1968, the Lincoln cent was still made of the classic bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This was the same composition used for decades, and what gives these older cents their warm red-brown look. Because of this metal content, the 1968 D penny even has a higher melt value than modern zinc cents. But its real value comes from its collectible varieties. Section The obverse of the coin features the famous bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, first introduced in 1909. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparo symbolizes unity and strength. The details are crisp, and when these coins are struck perfectly, they display beautiful luster. But the Denver Mint of the time also produced a number of striking varieties, errors, and unusual pieces that collectors now chase with fierce enthusiasm. Section Among the most valuable 1968 D pennies are the dramatic mint errors. These include doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and most importantly, pennies struck on the wrong metal planchet. A wrong planchet error happens when a blank intended for a different coin accidentally makes its way into the penny press. Extremely rare examples include pennies struck on dime planchets, nickel planchets, or even foreign coin blanks. These pieces do not look like normal pennies. They may be silver-colored, undersized, oversized, or unusually thin. When authenticated, these types of errors can sell for thousands, tens of thousands, and sometimes far above that. Section FOR. The highest values come from a combination of rarity and condition. Most collectors have never even seen a perfect mint state 1968 D penny. The mint was producing coins rapidly, and the dies often wore down quickly. A coin struck early from fresh dies, stored carefully, and never circulated becomes extremely valuable. Only a handful of 1968 D pennies have ever achieved the top grading levels. These are the coins that can command extraordinary prices. If such a coin were combined with a major mint error, the price could skyrocket. This is how collectors arrive at theoretical values climbing into the hundreds of thousands or even the famous $1.9 million figure for the absolute finest possible specimen. Section F. So, how can someone identify whether a 1968 D penny is ordinary or potentially worth a fortune? Start with the basics. Examine the coin under a bright light or magnifying lens. Check the date and mint mark for doubling. Look at the words Liberty and In God We Trust for signs of extra outlines or shadow-like doubling. Also check the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. A doubled die will show doubled lines in the columns or the lettering above the structure. Next, check the shape, thickness, and weight. If the coin looks unusually shiny, silver-colored, or feels lighter or heavier than normal, it may have been struck on the wrong metal. Check for visible misalignment where the design is shifted or missing in areas. These traits can dramatically increase value. Section SIX. Collectors also prize coins that have full red original copper luster. A bright, clean, fiery red 1968 D penny with no scratches, no spots, and razor-sharp details is incredibly rare. Even without an error, such a coin can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. When authenticated by a grading service, these coins become extremely desirable. Paired with a major mint error, the value can multiply exponentially. Section C. The story of the 1968 D penny is a reminder that treasure doesn't always shine like gold. Sometimes it hides in the spare change dish, in an old jar on a shelf, or in a box of forgotten coins from decades ago. With billions of pennies minted each year, only a tiny handful turn out to be special, but those rare survivors can change a collector's life. The thrill lies in the possibility. Every person who checks their change has a chance to uncover something extraordinary. So, the next time you pick up a penny dated 1968 with a little d under the date, take an extra moment to look at it closely. You might be holding something worth more than you ever imagined. Some of these coins have been known to bring astonishing prices, and the rarest of all could reach that incredible $1.9 million mark in the perfect circumstances. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history, value, and hidden treasures, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other treasure hunters. Thanks for watching, and may your next penny be the one that surprises you. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about one of the most surprising coins in modern American change, the 1988 D Lincoln penny. Most people have spent hundreds of these over a lifetime without ever thinking twice, but a small number of them have gained attention among collectors for potentially very high values. Some listings and collector rumors have even mentioned numbers reaching into the million-dollar range for the rarest and most extraordinary pieces. So let's explore the story behind this coin, the history, the design, the varieties, why some coins are valuable, and what makes this date so interesting. Section 0. First, let's rewind the clock to the late 1980s. The United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents every year. The classic wheat cent was long gone, and the memorial reverse introduced in 1959 had already been in circulation for nearly 3 decades. In 1982, the composition of the penny changed from 95% copper to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. By 1988, the Denver Mint was striking huge quantities of these newly composed cents. Most of them were everyday pocket change pieces worth only a cent. Section TWSO. Why does the 1988 D penny stand out? It comes down to something collectors call transitional design varieties. In simple terms, the Mint sometimes updates the design of coins from one year to the next. On the Lincoln cent, a small change occurred between 1988 and 1989 involving the design of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. If a coin from 1988 was mistakenly struck using a reverse design mint for 1989, you end up with a transitional variety. These varieties can be extremely rare because they result from die mix-ups that slipped through production unnoticed. Section THREA. Few collectors discovered that some 1988 cents from both Philadelphia and Denver were struck with the reverse design intended for the following year. To the average person, this difference is nearly invisible, but to numismatists, it is a big deal. The spacing of the letters, the shape of the designer's initials, and subtle details in the memorial columns separate one design from another. When a rare variety exists, collectors begin hunting for it, and the value can rise sharply depending on rarity and condition. Section FR. This is where the big numbers come in. While most 1988 D pennies are only worth face value, an extremely small number of high-grade coins with these transitional features have brought impressive prices at auctions. When a rare variety is the only one known in a top grade, collectors may pay tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to acquire it. Some collectors have estimated that the finest possible example, if discovered in nearly perfect condition, could reach theoretical prices in the very high range, which is why you sometimes hear people mention figures like $1.4 million. It is not the standard market value, but rather a hypothetical value for a once-in-a-lifetime discovery piece. Section FISO. How do you know if your 1988 D penny is special? It begins with a close look at the reverse. The transitional reverse shows the designer's initials in a slightly different style. On the correct 1988 reverse, the initials appear farther from the base of the Lincoln Memorial and have a certain shape. On the transitional 1989 reverse, the initials are tucked closer to the base and their appearance is slightly different. You may need a magnifying glass or a macro camera to spot this. If your coin shows the 1989 style, you may be holding a rare variety. Section SIX. Condition plays a major role in value. A coin straight from circulation with scratches, dents, or discoloration will be worth far less than a coin in mint state condition. Collectors pay a premium for sharp details, bright surfaces, and original mint luster. If you think you have something unusual, it is wise to get it authenticated and graded by a respected grading service. A verified mint error or transitional design variety in high grade is what pushes values into the thousands and beyond. Section C in the story of the 1988 D. Lincoln penny is a reminder that even the smallest coin in your pocket has a history. Millions of coins are produced every day, and once in a while, something slips through that becomes a treasure. Most pennies worth face value share space with a handful of extraordinary survivors, and that is what makes the hunt exciting. Every collector dreams of finding that one special coin, the one that changes everything. So, the next time you get a handful of change, take a look at those pennies. One of them might be a normal zinc cent, but another might be a rare, transitional variety from 1988 that could be worth a surprising amount. If you enjoyed learning about this coin and you want more deep dives into rare coins, mint errors, and valuable discoveries, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. Thanks for watching, and happy treasure hunting. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a surprisingly valuable coin that most people never think twice about, the 1973 Lincoln penny. It's a coin nearly everyone has handled at some point, but a few rare varieties and exceptional mint state examples have created serious excitement among collectors. Some extremely rare errors and near-perfect specimens have been rumored to reach staggering prices, with the highest theoretical estimates pushing toward $1.3 million. So let's dig into the story, the history, the values, and why this ordinary-looking penny can sometimes be anything but ordinary. Section O Neto. Understand the 1973 Lincoln penny. We need to go back to the early 1970s. The United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents every year, mostly from a bronze alloy made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This classic composition had been used for decades, and it's part of what gives older pennies their distinctive reddish-brown appearance. In 1973, the country was dealing with economic changes, metal price fluctuations, and discussions about modifying penny production, but the mint kept the traditional bronze formula for one more decade. Section TW design-wise. The 1973 penny still featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. On the reverse was the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been introduced in 1959 and was used through 2008. At first glance, the 1973 penny looks like every other memorial cent. But what makes this date intriguing to collectors is not the standard design, but the unusual errors, high-grade specimens, and extremely rare mint misprints that slipped through production. Section K. 1973 Lincoln penny has several collectible variations that dramatically increase its value. Some of the most desirable include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. But the most valuable varieties are the extremely rare off-metal errors, such as a 1973 penny accidentally struck on a silver-colored dime planchet or on a foreign coin blank. These mistakes happen when the wrong metal disc is fed into the press, and they are incredibly rare. When authenticated, such pieces can reach extraordinary numbers at auction. Section FOR. The same goes for coins struck with a dramatic doubling on the date or lettering. A strong double die can transform an ordinary 1-cent coin into a major numismatic treasure. Collectors love dramatic visual errors, and when combined with a high mint state grade, values rise sharply. While most 1973 pennies are worth just face value, the rarest examples have set record prices in the tens of thousands. And when collectors talk about the absolute finest known example of a once-in-a-lifetime error, some estimates push the theoretical price upward toward $1.3 million. These are not everyday sales, but rather the kind of valuations whispered about in the collecting world when discussing the ultimate dream piece. Section 5. For the average person, the question becomes simple. How do you know if your 1973 penny might be special? It starts with careful inspection. Look closely at the date, the letters Liberty, and the phrase "I in God we trust" for signs of doubling. Examine the coin's surface for misstrikes, unusual thickness, abnormal color, or incorrect weight. If the coin feels lighter or heavier than normal, it could indicate the wrong metal was used during minting. Off-center strikes are also easy to spot because the design will be visibly shifted, leaving empty space on one side. Section SIX. Condition matters just as much as rarity. A circulated coin with scratches, stains, or where we'll never reach the high values that mint state coins can achieve. Collectors pay top dollar for coins that look as if they just left the mint. Sharp details, full luster, and an original shine are essential for serious value. If you believe you've found something unusual, the safest next step is to send the coin to a reputable grading service for authentication. A certified error or high-grade variety will command significantly higher prices. That section in the story of the 1973 penny reminds us that the most valuable things are sometimes hiding in plain sight. Billions of pennies were minted that year, yet only a tiny handful contain the errors or qualities that make them true treasures. That is what keeps collectors searching, and it is what makes modern coin hunting so exciting. Every pocket, every coin jar, every handful of change has the tiny possibility of containing a life-changing discovery. And next time you get a penny dated 1973, take a closer look. It could be worth 1 cent, or it could be worth far, far more. If you enjoyed exploring the history and hidden value of this coin, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others who love the thrill of the hunt. Thanks for watching, and may your next coin find be the one that surprises you with a fortune. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a coin so modern, so common, and so overlooked that most people would never guess it could be worth big money. The 2005 Lincoln penny. Billions of these coins were minted, and they still appear in pocket change every day. But hidden among the ordinary coins are rare errors, oddities, and near-perfect mint state examples that collectors are willing to pay astonishing amounts for. Some of the most dramatic discoveries have inspired whispers of values reaching as high as $1.2 million for a once-in-a-lifetime specimen. So let's explore the history, the varieties, and the incredible possibilities behind the 2005 Lincoln cent section. In the year 2005 was an interesting one for United States coinage. The mint was in the middle of producing the State Quarters series. Public interest in coins was rising again, and modern minting technology was advancing quickly. The Lincoln cent had already been around for almost a century, and since 1959 the reverse featured the iconic Lincoln Memorial. The 2005 penny continued the tradition with the zinc core and copper-plated composition introduced in 1982. Even though the coin was made in massive quantities, the year produced some surprising mint errors that today stand out as valuable treasures. The section of the design of the 2005 penny looks familiar. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front, just as Victor David Brenner designed it back in 1909. On the back, Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial, with tiny details that only appear sharply on well-struck coins. But like all years, the mint used multiple dies, and not all of them were perfect. A few unusual mistakes made it past quality control, creating rare varieties that collectors now hunt with enthusiasm. Section 3 Some of the most valuable 2005 pennies are dramatic mint errors. These include off-center strikes where a portion of the design is missing, broad strikes that create oversized and distorted coins, double-struck pennies where the coin is hit twice by the press, and the always exciting wrong planchet errors. A wrong planchet error occurs when a penny is accidentally struck on a metal blank mint for a different coin. This can create a silver-colored penny struck on a dime planchet or a thicker or heavier penny struck on a foreign coin blank. These mistakes are extremely rare and can sell for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. Section 4 Another valuable category includes doubled dies, where parts of the design appear doubled because the die itself was improperly prepared. On a 2005 penny, doubling can appear on the date, the letters in Liberty, or the phrase In God We Trust. The strongest double dies can turn a 1-cent coin into a major collector highlight. A dramatic double die in the highest grade could reach sky-high values. Section 5 But the truly legendary numbers come from perfect condition. A flawless 2005 penny, completely free of scratches, spots, or handling marks, with bright red luster and razor-sharp strike, is unbelievably rare. The minting process produces enormous quantities quickly, and coins often collide with each other or equipment before leaving the mint. This means near-perfect examples are extremely scarce. When a single surviving coin is graded at the highest possible level, collectors can compete fiercely for ownership. That competition is what leads to the ultra-high theoretical values. including the famous $1.2 million figure that collectors sometimes associate with an absolutely perfect 2005-era penny combined with the highest grade known to exist at Section SX. So how do you know if your 2005 penny might be special? Start by examining the coin closely under good lighting. Check the date and lettering for doubling. Look at the edge to see if the coin is perfectly round or slightly distorted. Off-center strikes are easy to spot because part of the design will be shifted or missing. If the color seems silver or strange, the coin may have been struck on the wrong metal. Also pay attention to the coin's condition. A clean, bright, original red penny with no visible marks is always worth examining more carefully. Section C. And if you believe you found something unusual, the next step is to weigh it, measure it, and compare it with known mint specifications. A wrong planchet coin will often have the wrong weight or different dimensions. And if you truly think the coin is rare, sending it to a respected grading service can authenticate the error and secure its value. Graded coins are far easier to sell at full market value, especially rare mint errors. Section H to the story of the 2005 Lincoln penny reminds us that treasure can show up in the smallest places. You don't need a collection of centuries-old coins or a safe full of gold to find something valuable. Sometimes the most incredible discoveries come from a handful of pocket change. Among billions of ordinary pennies, a tiny number are extraordinary. And that possibility is what keeps the thrill of coin hunting alive. So, the next time you pick up a 2005 penny, take a closer look. It could be just a regular cent, or it could be a rare error worth hundreds, thousands, or in the most exceptional and theoretical cases, even $1.2 million. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, value, and modern coin collecting mysteries, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other treasure hunters. Thanks for watching, and may your next penny be the one that surprises you. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a coin that almost everyone has seen, used, or forgotten in a jar somewhere. The 1990 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like the most ordinary coin ever made. Billions were minted, billions were spent, and billions still sit in drawers and piggy banks around the world. But hidden among these billions are a few special varieties and errors that collectors chase with intense passion. Some of the rarest examples have been linked to jaw-dropping price estimates, with the most extraordinary once-in-a-lifetime pieces rumored to reach values as high as $1.4 million. Today we explore why this humble penny has earned such legendary status. Section Nato. Understand why the 1990 penny matters. We start with a bit of history. By the year 1990, the Lincoln cent had already been a part of American life for more than 80 years. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, had become one of the most recognizable coin images in the world. And since 1959, the reverse featured the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of unity, strength, and America's dedication to its 16th president. The penny had changed composition in 1982, switching from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. By 1990, all Lincoln cents were being struck with this modern formula. That Section W. The year 1990 might seem uneventful for penny production, but it actually introduced one of the most interesting numismatic mysteries. During this period, the United States Mint used several different dies, and once in a while, a minting mistake slipped through production. When a mint error or unusual die variety appears in a modern coin, collectors take notice. And in the case of the 1990 cent, one particular error would make headlines in the coin collecting world. Section One of the most famous and valuable varieties of the 1990 Lincoln cent is the no-S proof. Proof coins are specially made for collectors, featuring mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. These coins are struck at the San Francisco Mint and normally carry the S mint mark. But in 1990, a small number of proof pennies were struck without the mint mark. This simple, missing letter transformed an ordinary coin into a legendary rarity. When collectors discovered these no-S proofs, the value exploded. Today, even a normal one in high grade can sell for thousands. And if the finest possible no-S 1990 proof ever surfaced, some experts suggest it could reach theoretical values far beyond known sales, inspiring the famous $1.4 million speculation. Section FOR. There are other valuable varieties as well. The 1990 penny has been found with dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, double-clip planchets, and noticeable doubled dies. These mistakes occur when a coin is struck incorrectly or when the metal blank is damaged or misaligned. Some doubled dies show extra outlines on the date or lettering that can make the coin extremely valuable. A major doubled die or wrong planchet error in pristine condition can fetch huge prices at auction. The rarer the error and the better the condition, the higher the value climbs. That section FIE condition plays an enormous role in value. Most 1990 pennies have circulated for decades. They're scratched, worn, or darkened from age. But a true mint state coin, one that looks like it just came off the press yesterday, can be worth a surprising amount even without an error. Collectors search for flawless surfaces, sharp details, and full red luster. A coin graded at the highest possible level can become incredibly valuable simply because so few perfect examples exist. When a rare error is combined with a top grade, the price can skyrocket into the kind of numbers that fuel the million-dollar legends. Section SX. So how do you know if your 1990 penny might be worth far more than 1 cent? Start by checking the mint mark. If you ever find a proof penny from 1990 with no S mint mark, you may have discovered one of the rarest modern coins in American history. Look closely at the date and lettering for doubling. Check the coin's shape and thickness for signs of off-center striking or wrong planchet errors. If the coin feels unusually light, heavy, shiny, or misshapen, it may be worth far more than you think. And above all, examine its condition. A perfect-looking coin is always worth a second glance. Section in the 1990 Lincoln penny is a reminder that treasure doesn't always come in gold bars or rare silver dollars. Sometimes it hides in the smallest, simplest coins we carry every day. Billions of pennies were minted in 1990, yet only a tiny handful hold the qualities that spark dreams and inspire collectors. The fun is in the hunt. Every coin in your pocket, every jar in your house, every roll from the bank has the potential to hold a discovery. And so, the next time you see a 1990 penny, slow down and take a look. It might be a normal cent, or it might be one of the rarest modern coins ever made. One extraordinary example could even reach that legendary $1.4 million mark under the right circumstances. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history, value, and hidden treasures, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with fellow treasure hunters. Thanks for watching, and may your next penny be the one that changes everything. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at one of the newest coins in American circulation, the 2020 Lincoln penny. A coin so common that you have probably touched dozens without ever giving it a second thought. But like every year of minting, 2020 produced a handful of extraordinary coins. Rare errors, unusual varieties, perfect grade examples, and mysterious mint mistakes have caused huge excitement in the collecting world. And some collectors even suggest that the rarest, most flawless 2020 pennies combined with major mint errors could bring values reaching an astonishing $1.3 million under the right circumstances. So let's break down the history, the value, and the incredible potential hidden within this modern coin. Section only year 2020 was memorable across the world, and the United States Mint was no exception. Despite global disruptions, coin production continued at high volume. The Lincoln penny, which had been part of American life since 1909, rolled off the presses by the billions. The obverse still carried the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse still featured the shield design introduced in 2010. This shield represents Lincoln's preservation of the Union and symbolizes strength and unity. Section 2B 2020, the penny was fully established in its zinc core, copper-plated composition. It weighs just 2.5 grams and has a thin layer of copper that gives it its iconic color. Although the composition is inexpensive, the value of these coins comes from something entirely different. It comes from rarity, mistakes, and perfection. Every year, even in modern times, the mint produces a small number of coins with dramatic errors. When those mistakes slip through unnoticed, they become treasures for collectors. That Section 3 some of the most valuable 2020 pennies are those struck with major mint errors. These errors include off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, broad strikes where the coin expands outside its normal shape, and double-struck coins where the design appears twice. But the most exciting errors of all are the ones struck on the wrong planchet. A wrong planchet error happens when a blank intended for another coin accidentally ends up in the penny press. These rare coins may appear silver-colored, oversized, or too small. They may weigh differently or have unusual textures. A 2020 penny struck on a dime or nickel planchet can be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or more depending on condition. Section FOR. Another valuable category of 2020 pennies involves die varieties. These include doubled dies where the lettering or date appears doubled, and die cracks which create raised lines across the surface. These varieties occur when a die is damaged or improperly prepared. A strong doubled die, especially one visible to the naked eye, can become incredibly valuable. If discovered early in the minting process, with very few examples made, such a penny could reach extraordinary prices. Section FOR. The true headline value comes from condition. A perfect grade 2020 penny is far rarer than people think. Even though billions were minted, most coins suffer tiny nicks, scratches, or spots before they ever leave the production line. Only a tiny fraction survive in flawless, high-grade condition. When a coin receives the highest possible grade, collectors compete fiercely for it. Combine the rarest error with the highest grade, and the price can explode. This is where the legendary $1.3 million figure comes from. It represents the hypothetical value of a once-in-a-lifetime coin, a perfect error piece unlike any other. Section SX. So how do you know if your 2020 penny is special? Start by looking closely at every detail. Check the date, the letters in Liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" for doubling or distortions. Examine the shield on the reverse for cracks, breaks, or unusual marks. Look carefully at the shape of the coin to see if it is off-center or expanded. Pay attention to color. A silver-colored 2020 penny may not be plated at all, but instead struck on a dime planchet. Weigh the coin if you can. Any deviation from 2.5 grams is a clue that something extraordinary might be going on. Section SN. If the coin looks perfect, brilliantly red, and free of scratches or spots, it could be worth far more than face value even without an error. Modern collectors love high-grade coins, and a top-rated 2020 penny can bring surprising prices. If you think you've found one of these treasures, sending it to a professional grading service can confirm the error, authenticate the coin, and dramatically increase its market value. Section H. The story of the 2020 penny is a reminder that hidden treasures still exist in the most unexpected places. You don't have to search through old dusty boxes or antique collections to find something valuable. Sometimes, the rarest discoveries are hiding in your change from the grocery store or sitting quietly in a cup holder in your car. Among billions of ordinary coins, a few extraordinary ones are waiting to be found, and so, the next time you see a 2020 penny in your change, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. You might be holding a rare error worth thousands, or maybe even one of those legendary pieces that collectors whisper about, the ones that could reach a value as high as $1.3 million. If you enjoyed this deep dive into modern coin values, coin history, and the amazing potential hidden in your everyday change, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other treasure hunters. Thanks for watching, and may your next penny be the one that changes everything.